Super Rugby, there's one game on Sunday in Super Rugby Aotearoa. It is the Hurricanes hosting the Highlanders. Both these teams are a win and two losses. They've both lost to the Crusaders and the Blues, and both beaten the Chiefs. So they're not quite at the Chiefs' point of staring down the barrel of essentially a fruitless campaign, but neither of them can really afford to drop this game because whoever wins this one will only be one game off the pace from the team who loses between the Blues and the Crusaders today. So, yeah, there's still lots to play for despite the fact that they both got losing records. Only 3 games in. Both sides have got a little bit in the way of changes, but yeah, I'm not sure what the crowd's going to be like. Hopefully it's a decent one, although, again, once you know your team's on a losing record, it's just a harder prospect to sell tickets. So we'll see. Hopefully it's fine weather down in Wellington and we get some people out to the game. In terms of the lineups, it seems mostly pretty stable. There's one particular thing I'm happy with when I see this Hurricanes lineup is the fact that Fletcher Smith finally cracks the 23. And not only does he crack the 23, he jumps straight into the 10 jersey. I'm not sure if he'll be a yard off the pace, having not played thus far. All the games it's been Jackson Garden Bishop at 10, and he's all right. But I'm keen to see how Fletcher Smith goes. And Jackson Garden Bishop's not in the 23, so he's out the squad. So changing things up. I didn't read that he's injured. Like when I was looking at the injury list, Dane Coles has got niggles, so he's out. Even though he was declared the biggest grub by that survey they did of New Zealand rugby players. If you haven't seen it, that was just search Dane Cole's biggest grub. It was a bit of an interesting one. Evans, Armstrong, Princep, all these guys have got not season-ending injuries, but they're all not available for this one. But I didn't see Jackson Garden Bishop on their list, so I'm assuming it's just a selection thing. Maybe he's just been given a rest. Don't know. But yeah, May, Almua, and Lomax is the front row. So Almua starts, Riccatelli's on the bench in the absence of Dane Coles. Blackwell and Scrafton are your locks, and Blackwell's been bloody good. Honestly, he's been one of the better locks in Super Rugby Aotearoa. Flanders, Karifi, and Savia are your back row. Savia, I don't think has quite hit his full capacity yet from what we're used to seeing from him. Like, he's not quite at that world-class level. He's been all right, but he's been coming back from a long injury, so maybe taking him a while to get back into the swing of things. Perenara is captain. With Dane Coles out, he is the sole captain, so hopefully he doesn't get silenced by the referee this week. As I mentioned, Fletcher Smith at 10. Laumape and Aso is 12 and 13. Lamb, Fun Fake are the wingers with Geordie Barrett on at 15 with that big old boot of his. So the Highlanders will have to be mindful if they're giving away any penalties even around the halfway line, because that guy can kick him. Fafita continues on the bench. Mufi Taramai might get his first game for the Hurricanes. Interestingly, the backs cover is Booth, Proctor, and Husson. But I guess they can drop Perenara back into 10 if needs be, or even Geordie Barrett could jump in at 10. So they don't have special as 10 cover, but they got a couple of other guys in the starting 15 who could just as well cover. For the Highlanders, the big news for them on the injury front was that Josh Dixon's out for the season, so that's pretty tragic because he's also been one of the better locks thus far, although I'd still say Tupolotu has probably been my man for this one, but again, I'm a biased Blues fan. Also, Punivai is injured, so yeah, they've brought back Scott Gregory. He's not at fullback this time. He's on the right wing, so hopefully he doesn't get... Well, hopefully he has a better game than last time. Still a young man, so hopefully he's able to just brush that one off and get back to work. Johnston, Dixon, and Tokolahi's the front row. I think I read it was Tokolahi's 50th game. Parkinson and Wetton are in the locks, and like I mentioned, Wetton's coming up to replace Dixon. Frizzell, Hunt, and Michaeli Tu'u the back row, and that seems to be something I say every week. That's a tasty matchup, just seeing these back rows up against each other. Hunt against Karifi, who's going to win the battle at the breakdown. Save and Michaeli Tu'u, who's going to be kind of the better ball carrier off the back of the scrum. And Flanders and Frizzell. Maybe you'd give that to Frizzell on form thus far, because I think Frizzell has been pretty good. One of the standout players in the Highlanders team thus far. Smith has been in top form, and despite the fact that they lost to the Crusaders last week, he was one of the shining lights on that performance. So he's co-captain at 9. Still Mitch Hunt at 10. Tompkinson, Thompson midfield standard. Nareki and, like I mentioned, Gregory on the wings, and Michael Collins is at fullback. So yeah, Selby Ricketts come in on the bench. Parete is there. Ben Nicholas is also there alongside Thwaites, Stanley, Brown and Coltman. So it's a 6-2 split on the bench. They've just got Hamilton and Gatland to cover the entire back line, which is an interesting one because I thought Gatland and Hamilton are pretty much just 9 and 10 cover, but I suppose one of them could drop back to fullback. Maybe Mitch Hunt can drop back to fullback. If they get injured to one of their wings, it'll be interesting to see how they reshuffle things, but hopefully everybody just stays fit. Still no Nehe Milner-Skata. Speaking of wings, that guy with his shoulder, who knows if we'll see him. It's kind of a race between him and Dan Carter to see who gets a shot first, because they're both guys that signed for the teams, and we're both guys we're keen to see play, but nothing thus far. Anyway, the last time the Highlanders beat the Hurricanes in Wellington apparently was that 2015 final. So it's been a long time between wins for them, and they are the underdogs going into this one, with the bookies having the Hurricanes by 5 and Rugby Forecast Algorithm going a step further and having the Hurricanes by 12. They haven't played thus far in 2020, so it's a bit of an open book as to what's going to happen. But Hurricanes at home in recent years has been a pretty safe bet. So, yeah, you guys let me know what you reckon about this one. It should be an interesting one. Like I said, I hope these teams both show up. I hope the crowd gets in there on the back of seeing the Crusaders game sold out. I know it's a much smaller stadium, but the Crusaders game sold out for that Blues visit. These teams don't quite have the same record thus far, but whoever wins this game can put themselves at least one game from getting in the hunt to catch that first team. So it's not all over, but they do both need to win pretty bad. So, yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.